All right, so let's talk about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills playing the Kansas City Chiefs. And one thing worth noting is the first time these two teams played, it didn't go so well for Buffalo's offense, but I think there were several reasons for that. I mean, just statistically, he had only a 52% completion percentage, and his passer rating was 73, which is the second lowest it's been all season, only behind the game again, the first time he played the New England Patriots. So, statistically, it wasn't his best day. Let's talk about why that was, though. So we'll start off with this one. It's going to be a zone coverage play, and it's just a little zone buster to gain like 5 yards. This isn't anything too crazy. He's just going to hit the shorter route to his right. That's what he's trying to do here. And as you see, Allen's going to take the snap, and he's just going to miss this throw. There's no doubt about it. That was just a wild throw, and that happened a couple times in this game. It did. This one's another good example of that, where what's going to happen is it's a cover one play. It's going to be a cover one hole concept, and he wants to hit Diggs, who's running a route over the middle, so this route will get open eventually, but it is going to take a second for it to get open. So Allen's going to have to wait a little bit, and then once it gets past the middle of the field, then he's going to make the throw. But watch how when Allen takes the snap, he does wait until it gets open, and this is open right here. I mean, again, this is another situation where Allen can make this throw, and this time they could have picked up a first down had he made it. However, his throw was just wild, and, there was just a number of these where he just missed the throw. I'm going to show the other angle that'll give you a better view of how he does, in fact, miss his throw. Excuse me, it was John Brown, not Diggs. The number 14 and 15, I always get those two. For whatever reason, I have a hard time with those two numbers with the Bills. But yeah, it was just not a great throw, and why was that? Well, it's hard to know for sure. It's possible he just had a bad day, which would mean that you feel pretty good if you're a Bills fan because he's probably not going to have a bad day again. I think it's probably fair to say that he has gotten better even through the course of this season, and Josh Allen of the past month is a better quarterback than Josh Allen back in week 6. He just is. So I think that's fair as well. And I think the third thing is the weather. It was rainy in this game, and it was pretty cold. I mean, the low ended up being 48 for that day, so that's not that cold, especially now. I'm sure people in Buffalo watching this video would kill for it to be 48. I think. I don't know what the weather is there, but I'm just assuming. Okay, I just Googled it. Apparently, it's 31 degrees in Buffalo, New York right now. So, not that bad. But going back to what I'm talking about in the relevance of the weather to this game, I do think that the rain might have played a factor. The issue is that it's going to be about the same temperature, more or less, and it's also got a 50% chance of rain in Kansas City on Sunday. That's what they're saying. So, it says a high of 48, low of 35, so maybe 10 degrees cooler and about a 50% chance of rain. It could end up being almost the exact same conditions the first time they played. So if it is partially because of the weather, well, that's not really an excuse because it'll happen again, probably. But honestly, I just don't know how much was the weather. I think he just had an off day, and I think he'll be much better, which I think is good news for Bills fans. But yeah, one thing worth noting, again, I kind of want to talk about the first game, but also obviously previewing the next game. There's going to be some similarities, some differences. One thing that's interesting is Chris Jones, who's obviously just an incredible defensive tackle. He's very good. He had a lot of success, but he had a lot of success against Buffalo's right guard, who is not their starter right now. So that could be something worth noting. Is there's kind of a question mark there. Will Chris Jones still have a good day against Buffalo, and will he still be able to get that pressure? Like, watch, once this play starts, Chris Jones gets immediate pressure, and then Josh Allen somehow gets out of it, makes a throw on the run, and nearly got a completion out of that, which is just insane. But that just kind of goes to show, I think, that maybe you could see some pressure up front against Allen, and that's not a good thing, even though Allen is great at getting around the pressure. But again, I just don't know how much that'll come into play. So there are some question marks that it's almost like seeing this game for the first time in some ways, just given who's playing and who isn't. Another way I'm sure Kansas City will try and get pressure would be on a play like this, where it's just going to be cover zero blitz, which is something that I think Kansas City will probably do against Buffalo. It makes sense to do this against Buffalo. The issue with this is, you notice I don't have anybody marked as covering the halfback on this play. That's because Kansas City got confused. They had a cross-up, and nobody's covering the halfback on this play. Watch. So Josh Allen, he's going to take the snap, and I think someone just completely screwed up here, and two guys rushed the passer when one of them was supposed to cover the back. So that's luxury for Buffalo, and if you can take advantage of this is how touchdowns happen, honestly. So this could be a huge play, and I think this would have been a huge play in this game had the pressure not really thrown off Josh Allen. Watch, Allen under pressure, he isn't able to make an accurate throw, and they're not able to get that completion. I don't know if it would have been a touchdown anyways. I think a Kansas City player probably makes a tackle, but it would have been a first down for sure, and you hope that you can take advantage of that if you're Buffalo. And I think for Kansas City, that kind of makes you feel good about, hey, if we can get pressure, we can force him to miss a completely open guy. But maybe that's an advantage to Buffalo, because I do think Josh Allen misses that throw week 6. I don't know if he misses that throw today. One matchup I'm really looking forward to seeing again would be Breeland going up one-on-one against Diggs. I think that's definitely an interesting matchup. I think Breeland is a really underrated corner. I think he's very good, and obviously we all know what Diggs can do. But last time these two teams played, Diggs only had 46 yards, and a big part of that is because Breeland is good. Watch this play. It's a cover 1 blitz right here, and you're going to see that Diggs is running just a curl route past the first down marker. This is a second down and 10 situation, or excuse me, second down and 8 situation. And watch what happens. So Diggs is able to avoid contact at the line, and he's sort of using his speed just to force Breeland to have to turn his back to the quarterback. So now Diggs can see where the ball is coming from. He knows where he's stopping, whereas Breeland kind of has to hurry to make sure he's keeping up with Diggs. And what Diggs is going to do, obviously, is stop at a certain point, but it's going to kind of just come down to timing. And is Josh Allen and Diggs going to be on the same page enough to pick up a decent gain on this one and create either a first down or a third down and short? And as you see, they are. And that's kind of the X factor. Is I like Breeland, I like Diggs, but I think the sort of the difference maker could be just the chemistry that Diggs and Allen have. And this was week 6. It's only gotten better. So that's definitely, I think, another thing to be optimistic about for Buffalo. One interesting parallel from both sides of the ball will be shown on this play. I think this is going to be a clear example of how both defenses try to attack both offenses, and that's don't get beat over the top. If you get beat over the middle, that's fine. Take those 7-yard gains. Don't get beat for 50 yards, because both of these offenses, if you give them an inch, they can take a 50-yard touchdown. There's no doubt about it. So like on this play, it's cover 2 zone, and Diggs is running a deep route over the middle. This could work against like a cover 1 play maybe. Even that would be a little bit tough since he's running right over the middle, and it probably would be double coverage. But, maybe cover 3 would be the ideal situation for it. Or it could still work if Diggs can kind of split the defense and get in between. It's just going to be difficult to get open with 2 safeties deep on a play like this. Watch. So Allen takes a snap. He does run a play action. And I think the play action, maybe that the hope was that a safety would kind of come in more, which would get someone out of position. But you look over here, if Josh Allen throws it deep, it's probably not going to be complete. I mean, there's 2 safeties deep. Both of them are past Diggs right now. Diggs is not open deep. Meanwhile, Allen also has multiple checkdowns, and I think this is going to be something they really kind of drill into Allen's head before this game is, hey, I think it's kind of overused and not entirely the best strategy, but when people say you can't go broke making a profit, against a cover 2 defense, that kind of is the case, and you do kind of have to just check down. Plus, you can get 10, 15 yards on some of these checkdowns. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Allen made one of these checkdowns, that it could have still been an explosive play. But instead, he is going to throw it deep, and I just don't think he'll do that again. I think that's, and listen, it almost worked too. So that's the other thing, is even when Allen doesn't make the best decision, he can sometimes make it work. Him and Diggs can. But I still think that that's the decision that he just won't make the second time around, and for good reason. We also now got to switch our focus a little bit. I've been talking all about Josh Allen, and now I want to talk about Kansas City a bit. And they have a really good defense. They do. And so this is a cover 2 zone, and what's going to happen is the Bills are going to run play action, and then they're going to, try to hit a slant route to Allen's left. That's, simple way to beat zone coverage often, but it's going to be played well by Kansas City. Really, what I want you to focus on is the defensive back who's currently lined up with the receiver who will be running a slant route, and watch what he does. Notice how he moves in, which takes away that route. And now there's a second player who could get open. It's right there in the black box that I've put on the screen right there. That's Tyler Croft, tight end, and he's running over, and you see that yellow circle I put on the screen? That's honestly, I feel like where Buffalo gets a ton of their yards is when Josh Allen gets outside the pocket, which he currently is, he can use those sidelines to his advantage. And I think what's so important for Kansas City right here is that it's going to be that guy. That's Armani Watts, who initially ran into the middle of the field to take away that initial slant route. But now, since he's over towards the middle of the field, the sideline could be open. And so he's going to have to really just try to get back into his original position, and that's something you really have to be careful of for Kansas City. But as you see, Watts does get back in position. Allen eventually just throws the ball away. But I think that's important, is to get back in position like that. And listen, Armani Watts, he's not going to be some superstar player in this game. I'd be surprised if he plays a single snap. But at the same time, I'm just kind of using that as an example of just showing what Kansas City will do as a whole. And if he does that, I'm assuming whoever is in charge of covering the flat should do a good job at just knowing that you have to get back in position, because they can burn you towards the sidelines if you're not careful. I think this play is going to be a good example of showing what Buffalo can do if they know what coverage is coming. But I also think that's part of the issue, is it's going to be hard for them to know what coverage is coming, because I think that Kansas City disguises really well. But, this is the cover 2 zone, and you see that there is a route that can absolutely get into this gap in coverage, where basically what happens is that the receiver closest to the sideline just going to run a curl route, and it's going to kind of get into this gap in coverage. And since that receiver is Stephon Diggs, and since there's another receiver who's going to pull the defensive back in charge of covering the flat further towards the sideline, this can absolutely get open. I mean, watch. So you're going to see Josh Allen takes the snap, and at this point, on one hand, it looks like there isn't a ton of separation, but you have to remember, Allen can throw it really as far to his left as he wants, where Diggs can still make the grab. So that's the advantage right here, and that's why this play can work out so well, especially when Diggs is just in better position where he's further deep. That kind of makes it easier for Allen to make the throw, since Diggs can more easily read it and get further over. Watch, Allen makes that throw. That feels so easy, and it was. I mean, that's just too easy for Buffalo. And I think the hope for Buffalo is to say, hey, when things go right, we can have a great time. The issue with that for Buffalo is it's not so easy to know always what the concept is, especially against Kansas City, who's one of the best teams in the league at disguising their coverages on defense. And I think that that's going to be a lot of where this game is won for Buffalo. I think hurry up to the line and get guys in motion, try and figure out what the coverage is pre-snap as much as possible, because I think that'll be key in winning this football game. And Kansas City's infatuation with, disguises, that can actually be a disadvantage sometimes for the defense. And this play is a good example where it's going to be cover 0 once again. And you notice that slant route I have over the middle. This is something that if it was just a regular, like a cover 1 play, for example, which isn't the disguise, then it probably, maybe it gets open, but it doesn't get wide open. But as you see on paper, with the deep safety covering Cole Beasley running a route that'll get over the middle, this is huge advantage Buffalo, especially with the space. He's currently 10 yards away from Beasley. And as you see, Allen notices it quickly, and that's just an easy throw for a touchdown right there. The touchdown part was a little bit difficult, but, the big game to begin with was the easy part. That was going to be a first down and goal inside the 2 regardless, or second down and goal, I mean. So, yeah, I think it'll be a very interesting game. I think that I could definitely see one thing I didn't even mention, but I meant to, was the Bills' running game might come into play. I've sort of talked about how the Kansas City Chiefs, if you watched my last video where I broke down the other side of the ball, I could see the Chiefs sort of using the rushing game to, go up against 2 safeties deep. Whereas I think for Buffalo, they might have to do the same thing a little bit. And that's also what kind of worked against Baltimore a little bit, was when they started finally running the ball. You might see them run the ball a bit more than you expect. I do think this game is going to be lower scoring than people realize, just because I think that there's going to be less possessions than people realize. I guess to sum up all of what I've talked about, I think that for Buffalo, I'm not totally concerned about their offense. I do think that Josh Allen's bad day was just that. It was a bad day the first time they played. I think he'll be much better this time. And also, it's okay to say he had a bad day every now and then. Like, I feel like there's this weird thing with Buffalo Bills fans where Josh Allen got so much unfair criticism early on in his career that now there's like this defense mechanism where they feel like he can't get criticism whatsoever. It's okay. He's a great player. He's one of the best in the league, and when you become one of the best in the league, you're going to get treated like that when you only play good instead of great. And that being said, I honestly think that he might have to play great to win this game. He's going to have to read defenses really well. It might be between his ears to do it. But honestly, there's worse positions to be in the NFL than to have your game being relied on Josh Allen having a great game. Like, if that's what it takes to win, there's a lot worse ways to try and win this game. I said in my last video that I think the Chiefs score 27 points, and I also said it'll be only a 9-possession game, so that's a lot. I also think that the Bills, I think they'll have a good day as well. I really struggled with this one. I'm going to give them 24 points, which is lower than the Chiefs. That means that the Chiefs, I'm predicting to win this game. But listen, hey, every time I predicted the Bills to lose a game before, they've ended up winning. So maybe that's good news for Bills fans. I do think that Buffalo has just been really unlucky with sort of the hands they've been dealt this playoffs. I mean, it's been so impressive to beat Indianapolis, which was a horrible matchup for them. Then they beat Baltimore, which ended up not being as bad of a matchup as I thought it would, but it was still not a great matchup. They win that. Now they got to play Kansas City. I mean, this is Murderer's Row, and if they win this game, it's going to go down as one of the best roads to a Super Bowl and one of the most impressive, winning streaks to a Super Bowl I've seen in quite some time. It's been incredible what they're doing. But I just think the Chiefs are really good. I think the Chiefs are probably a little bit better, and it's very interesting. This should be a fun game. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.